Hi, I'm Dr. Charlene Holkenbrink-Monk, and I'm your professor for Sociology 130E, Sociology of Higher Education. I'll be your professor, and I'm excited to teach this class. I'm going to give a little bit of a background about who I am and why this class is important to me, as well as what the expectations are for the course and how to navigate it. So this course is an asynchronous and remote course, right? Which means we don't have a meeting time and we will not be meeting online either. Uh, I will hold office hours and I'll make the announcement in our Canvas class for that. But until then, I want to go over kind of some of the expectations. If you do have a scheduled meeting with me or I hold office hours, I will be posting the link, but then the link can also be found in our course. So let's talk a little bit about what this course is and what we're going to be doing. So this course introduces students to sociological theory and research as they apply to colleges and college life. So kind of the overall idea of higher education. It focuses on how colleges are organized and how variation within and between colleges affects individuals and society. The topics include college missions and outcomes, curriculum and pedagogy, college to work transitions, access, equity, and inclusion. So a lot of what we're going to be talking about will have to do with those. The module, for example, won't be listed college to work transition, but we're going to be talking about how folks are affected by that and kind of the underpinning philosophies around that too. So, as sociologists and sociology adjacent, I say that because not everybody is a sociology major. We understand systems and structures and how this impacts the individual, or in other words, the interconnection between structure and agency. As college students, you have agency, which is supported by or hindered by higher education structure and larger social structure as a whole. This class will explore how we make sense of our higher education experiences, how teaching and pedagogy have changed or happened, perspectives of education and the purpose of said education, and how this shapes the world. We will also discuss global perspectives and comparative approaches while trying to understand our own individual experiences within the. So what does that mean? Basically, we know that agency and structure, those are two concepts that we have to have a firm grasp of in sociology. Agency being the individual or small group's ability, or a group of people's ability to make decisions for themselves, and the larger social structure, and how they're interconnected, right? The structure can hinder people's ability to make these decisions for themselves, or not. Now, I want to make it very clear that sometimes that can lead to a very depressing perspective in sociology. And it is really important that while that is true, right, we can see that, for example, different policies and laws and what is appropriate or allowed on a college campus to be resisted or protested, right? Or how your instructor is the one who makes the decision. So that also influences the way that you learn or what you learn. It is really important to note that while groups of people's agency is impacted by the structure, many people have reclaimed that power and been able to change the structure and in turn reclaim that agency. So I just want to note that because sometimes when we go into these things, we have those conversations and it can be very defeating in some ways, right? So we're going to talk about these perspectives though as we move forward. The outcomes that I have for you is that you'll understand kind of the foundations of higher education in the United States. You should be able to articulate the philosophical underpinnings, so kind of the philosophical lineage, like the philosophy of education, what the purpose is, critically engage with literature and theory and make sense of it in terms of your own individual experiences, and then apply sociological theory, concepts, and imagination to higher education experience, including but not limited to global perspectives and the social structure. So those are my hopes for you as you complete this course. Some other course policies, so attendance, right? It's an asynchronous class. We're not meeting, but you are expected to spend time on this course every week, engaging in the materials and participating online, which is the equivalent to attendance. It is your responsibility to drop any class that you're no longer attending. And once you're beyond that drop point, you will receive a letter grade. So do your best to be here. However, if for some reason you are struggling, in a particular week, don't let that stop you and drop the class. I'd rather you reach out and communicate to me, right? So we can have a line of communication and a conversation about it. I would much rather support you as we move forward. Changes to the syllabus. So I do have the right to make changes to the syllabus. I generally won't, with the exception of maybe changing an assignment date or some sort of adjustment, but I will always let you know ahead of time and make an announcement. So With that, this is the first question to the syllabus quiz, which you'll see is listed there for you in Canvas. Materials we post to Canvas, you'll notice that there is not a required book. That's because everything that is available to you, anything that you need to read is available to you on Canvas. So make sure you do your readings and that you have access to electronic device to be able to view videos and, complete your work outside of class. So let's get to the assessments and the expectations for the class. So the assessments here, you will have 5 quizzes. They will cover a combination of readings and the lecture video that I'll have posted for you. They are open note, open book, and untimed. They will be published several days ahead of time of their due date, and they're typically due that Sunday. So what this means is you can use notes, you can use books. They're untimed, so you can go in and check out the questions. It should save for you, and then you can go back in as long as it's before the due date. I generally have them posted by the Wednesday or Thursday, so you have time. I know many of you are working or you're juggling other things, right, that might not be able to let you set aside time on Sunday, for example, to do this. So you will have several days to complete this. They are, again, encompassing a variety of materials. Questions will be pulled directly from the lecture materials as well as the various readings that you'll have. Then you're going to have 4 video discussion board posts. So these are, it should say 4. I'll update that on your syllabus side. So you'll have 4 discussion board posts. They're going to have several things. First off, it's really important because you can humanize each other a lot more, right? Instead of seeing a name and then responding, and all it is a name. Names are important, don't get me wrong, but oftentimes we feel very disconnected. You will be able to see each other and get to know each other in a different capacity. You also are able to articulate your thoughts a little differently and then carry on a conversation, so to speak. You will need to, your very first response to like the initial prompt will have to be a video blog, or will be a video discussion board or video response. And then you will also need to reference materials in the course from that week. So you'll say, for example, in Pedagogy of the Oppressed, Chapter 2, where Paulo Freire says this, that, and the other thing, you're going to pull from that. So you are still going to be referencing them and making mention of them in your videos. Then you're going to respond to your peers. You can write your responses. I do encourage you to share video responses, but I'm not requiring that. You are welcome to do that if that's more of your thing. But you do need to respond to 2 classmates, and those can be written. I do have here that the last discussion board post, I'm only going to have you respond to just 1 classmate, especially since, the nature of summer is very fast paced. Then you're going to have a final personal reflection paper. You still have to bring in works cited and materials in the course, but you are going to be reflecting on some of your experiences in higher education. You can weave together some of your K-12 experiences because those are very closely tied together, but you are going to need to reflect very deeply on your personal experiences and using materials from the class to support that. Each of these will have a detailed prompt on Canvas for you, and then the paper will have a very detailed rubric for you. This is the breakdown for you in terms of your grades, and then academic honesty. So don't cheat, don't plagiarize. Sometimes it can be a little shaky on what that means. Plagiarism can sometimes mean even too many quotations in a paper, because that's basically you're not adequately exemplifying what you know. But you do need to make sure you have citations and sources. You have a works cited page. Don't copy somebody else's work. It is cheating. Make sure you submit your own work. So I want it to reflect you and what you're doing. Then I have this statement on AI. So this is where I stand on AI. I'm not anti-AI necessarily. I think it can be an incredibly useful tool. There's a lot of different types of AI out there. The one that I'm primarily referencing is generative AI, but AI as a whole, can be very useful. But there are a lot of ethical issues around it. Studies have shown that it does decrease writing ability. It also decreases creative thought and critical thinking. But then there's also some other ethical issues. So I have links here for you in the syllabus that you can find. You should be able to click on them in the Canvas class syllabus link in the page navigation. There are some questions around its environmental impact. So, for example, ChatGPT, every request uses about the equivalent of a water bottle. So if you have asked it, 20 questions, for example, then that's the equivalent of 20 water bottles, 16-ounce water bottles. There's some questions around it stealing art, and not just art, other things as well. So there's been a rise in it summarizing and taking academic research as well. So there are some ethical questions around that. And there have been some findings that it exaggerates research, which then questions the integrity of science. So these are different articles. I do encourage you to read them, but I'm not going to require it. So just thinking about that when you're moving forward and the use of AI. Again, I'm not necessarily anti-AI, but I do encourage people to think about it and how they're going to use it. So on that note, while it is a powerful tool, this needs to be your work. If you do use AI as a tool, so for example, refining papers or grammar checks, or you needed it to clarify a question or a prompt, you need to provide a declaration of AI use into your paper. So you need to explain, how you used it. If, for example, if you did use it to generate an image, then you'll write the statement, I used ChatGPT to generate an image that included concepts around the theories of gender bias in curriculum. I do want you to also put in there, this is what I asked it, this is what I said. And that would be the best way to kind of cover you, to make sure that there aren't any questionable practices. I do encourage you to not use AI, but if you do use it as a tool and not something to replace your writing and your work, then that's different. Then students with disabilities, or if you're disabled, depending on how you prefer to identify, you are eligible for accommodations. And you can find out more here at the Office for Students with Disabilities. If you had an IEP or a 504 in your K-12 experience, or you suspect you have a disability, you might be eligible as well. If you want some assistance, reach out to me. However, I also recognize that there are some many barriers to disability identification. So if you feel that you could use some accommodations, let's schedule a meeting and we can chat about that and figure out the best ways to support you. This is not intended to be something to be taken advantage of course, which I don't expect any of you to do, but there are significant structural barriers to the identification and support and accommodations of disabilities. So reach out to me and we can work together. And then lastly, this is your weekly course outline, which you can pull up on your own. The due dates will also be listed in Canvas for you, and you have access to this syllabus. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go through a little bit about how to navigate Canvas. So let's talk a little bit about how to navigate Canvas for this class. The modules will be the home page, and you will first when you log in, you'll see the school general resources. This has to do with campus community centers, the Office for Students with Disabilities, CAPS, the Writing Hub. So that's where you can go for writing support, Student Success Center. There's a wide range of things that are listed here for you. I'll also have the Zoom link posted for you, so that way you know where to meet if we have a one-on-one meeting or for office hours. Then what you're going to see is you will see that there is always this is organized in this way. So you'll start here, week 1 instructions. You're going to want to always click on that. That's going to explain to you kind of what the breakdown is. The materials are exactly like it sounds, right? Those are the materials that you're going to be reviewing for the week. I have for the first lecture, and then these 2 readings here for you. Those will be a combination of videos and readings. I will also share the lecture slides for you if you want to go through them. That will correspond to the lecture video. Then you'll have your assignments listed here. This is our first discussion board. This first day survey here is that quick survey just for financial aid purposes. This is the first quiz that'll be due at the end of the week. It will be published for you by Wednesday or Thursday. I think I have it listed posted for Thursday. So that means you'll have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to complete it. And then this extra credit syllabus quiz. So there's 2 questions in the syllabus that I had there for you. And it is extra credit. You can receive 5 points extra, up to 5 points extra credit for answering those 2 questions. And so I say it's a quiz because it's really just asking those questions to make sure that you've looked over the syllabus. So when you click on the week 1 instructions, it'll take you to this, and it'll explain to you kind of what to do to navigate. You don't necessarily need to do it in that order. I will put it in the suggested order, or if I believe that it should be done in an order, I'll make sure I have that explained in the introduction here of the week. But for this class, that's how you will navigate Canvas to best be successful. So please reach out to me if you have any questions or if you need help with anything. I am more than willing to meet with you, and I am here to teach the class. So I did explain a little bit that I would talk about why this class is important to me. So now that that's important stuff, all that important stuff is done, I just want to explain kind of just really briefly. So I have a Ph.D. in education, but my background is sociology. So it's a sociology of education. My work focuses on the structure kind of overall. I just recently returned from Spain from a Fulbright scholarship. So I was there. I received a Fulbright U.S. Scholar Award, which is awarded to PhDs to conduct research or teach. And I was doing research there with visual sociology. So I was taking photographs and conducting ethnographic work in Spain, specifically Malaga, Spain. And I was looking at how community represents some of their social problems and concerns and what some of their recommendations and suggestions are. And so my background is really focused on, as of now, visual sociology and as a means of public pedagogy. So how can we use that to teach things within the public and by the public for the public? And I also have a background in participatory action research, and specifically youth participatory action research, where you're getting youth involved and the community involved in conducting research and then problem posing from there to come up with some legitimate ideas within the community and by the community. So my dissertation, for example, was focused on recent high school graduates, and we analyzed the California State Social Studies standards and then created lesson plans in a way that was critical and embedded sociology. So I was a middle and high school teacher at one point, teaching social studies and English. And so I have a very wide range of education background, and I am really passionate about education. And I think it's really important that we are moving forward with educational initiatives, as education can be a tool of resistance or of submission. And so we really need to be critical of the philosophies that our higher education initiatives are rooted in, and really have these critical conversations. So I'm really excited to be your instructor for this class. And please, again, reach out to me if you have any questions.